I want you to be 100% honest with yourself right now. Why did you buy that SUV sitting in your driveway? You probably told yourself you needed the cargo space. You told yourself you needed the safety of a heavier vehicle. You told yourself you needed that high seating position just to feel like you could see over the traffic in front of you. But here is the brutal reality in 2026. You didn't buy a utility vehicle, you bought a marketing campaign. The modern crossover SUV is arguably the biggest financial and engineering scam in automotive history. Manufacturers realized 10 years ago that they could take the chassis of a small, cheap economy car, put a taller body on it, slap on some plastic fender flares, call it an SUV, and charge you $10,000 to $15,000 more for the exact same parts. They sold you a rugged lifestyle that 99% of these cars can never actually achieve. They gave you all-wheel drive systems that overheat if you drive on a steep gravel road for more than 10 minutes. They gave you tiny, turbocharged 3-cylinder engines that are under constant stress just trying to move 2 tons of metal. And they gave you a monthly payment that is effectively a second mortgage. But while the general public is lining up to pay $60,000 for a plastic Jeep or a fragile Ford, a small group of smart buyers, mostly mechanics and engineers, are doing the exact opposite. They have discovered the SUV killer. It is a specific category of full-size, over-engineered sedans that are built like tanks. These cars have more actual interior shoulder room than a mid-size SUV. They have trunks that can swallow 4 sets of golf clubs, and mechanically, they make a modern crossover look like a disposable toy. The best part? Because the entire world is obsessed with SUVs, these iron sedans are being completely ignored. You can buy them for $4,000 cash. In this investigative report, I'm going to expose the engineering lie of the modern crossover. I'm going to show you the specific part numbers that prove your $50,000 SUV is just a $20,000 car in a costume. I will show you the towing math that the dealers don't want you to see, and I will reveal the 5 specific SUV killers that will still be running 20 years from now, long after the modern plastic crossovers have been melted down for scrap. If you are tired of being a user in a disposable economy and you want to start being an owner of an asset, this is the most important video you will watch this year. To understand why the sedan is making a massive comeback among the smart money crowd, we have to look at the math of the modern chassis. In 2026, 90% of SUVs on the road are unibody crossovers. This is a fancy term for a car that's built like a birdcage. It's all one piece of thin sheet metal welded together. Mechanically, a Toyota RAV4 is a Toyota Corolla, a Honda CR-V is a Honda Civic, a Nissan Rogue is a Nissan Sentra. They use the same light-duty McPherson strut suspension. They use the same tiny brake rotors. They use the same fragile CVT transmissions designed for a car that weighs 2,800 pounds. But the SUV body adds 500 to 1,000 pounds of extra weight. This means every time you hit a pothole, every time you brake, and every time you accelerate, you are putting 30% more stress on components that were never designed for it. This is why modern SUVs have warped brake rotors at 20,000 miles. This is why their suspension bushings fail before the second oil change. Manufacturers love this. It's called planned obsolescence. They want the car to feel tired by the time the lease is up, so you'll come back for another one. The sedans I am about to show you don't play that game. They were built during a golden era, where the goal was to build a car that could do 300,000 miles without a single major repair. We have to start with the absolute king of the SUV killers, the Panther Platform. Specifically, the 2003 to 2011 Mercury Grand Marquis. If you want to talk about smart money, this is the gold standard. In 2026, while people are paying $800 a month for a 3-cylinder Ford Escape, I am telling my clients to go buy a 10-year-old Mercury for $4,000. Why? The frame. Almost every SUV under $60,000 is unibody. The Grand Marquis is body-on-frame. This is the same industrial strength construction used in heavy-duty F-250 pickup trucks. The car is literally a steel ladder with a V8 engine and a luxury body bolted on top. If you get into a minor accident in a modern SUV, the unibody crumples to absorb the energy, and the insurance company totals the car because you can't weld it back together safely. If you get into that same accident in a Grand Marquis, the frame doesn't move. You replace a plastic bumper cover and keep driving for another decade. But let's talk about the utility. The trunk of a Grand Marquis is 21 cubic feet. It is so deep and wide that it can hold more actual luggage than most small SUVs without even folding the seats down. The rear seat is wider than a modern Jeep Grand Cherokee. 3 grown men can sit in the back without touching shoulders. And the engine? The 4.6-liter 2-valve modular V8 is widely considered by mechanics to be one of the top 5 most reliable engines ever made by man. It doesn't have turbos, it doesn't have direct injection to clog up the valves, it is low compression, under-stressed, and unkillable. In 2026, you can still find these cars owned by retirees who parked them in heated garages. For $4,000, you are getting a car that will outride, outlast, and outhaul any crossover on the market. I need to stop here because I'm about to show you the Japanese Limousine that is tougher than a Toyota 4Runner. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I can't find a clean Grand Marquis on my local lot. Or you're worried that I'm only giving you a few examples. The reality is that there are over 25 specific models from the last 15 years that fall into this SUV killer category. These are cars that mechanics have been quietly buying up for years, keeping the secret to themselves. You don't have the time to spend 100 hours researching chassis codes and curb weights. You need the answers now. That is why I created the 2026 Car Market Cheat Sheet. Inside Part 2, the Gold List, I have an exclusive section called the SUV Killer Database. I have compared the real-world dimensions, the towing capacities, and the mechanical failure rates of these sedans against the most popular SUVs. I give you the exact years to buy and the grandpa red flags to look for so you get the best deal. I also included the negotiation script for sedans. Because no one wants sedans right now, you can use my script to offer the seller 50% of their asking price and walk away with a steal. One single purchase of an SUV killer instead of a new crossover will save you over $40,000 in interest and depreciation. Join the rebellion against overpriced plastic. Click the link in the description, download the 2026 cheat sheet, and get the tank you deserve.
Now, let's look at car number 2, the car that makes the Toyota Highlander look like a bad investment. If you want the reliability of a Lexus and the space of a Suburban, but you only have $8,000, you buy a 2005 to 2012 Toyota Avalon. In the mechanic community, we call this the Japanese Buick. It is built on a stretched, reinforced chassis. While the Camry is a great car, the Avalon is on a different level of quality. The engine is the 2GR FE 3.5-liter V6. I have talked about this engine a dozen times on this channel because it is, quite simply, the best V6 ever made. No turbos, no complex hybrid systems, just pure, balanced power. But here is why it kills the SUV. Open the back door of a 2011 Toyota Avalon. The rear seats recline. They don't just fold, they tilt back for luxury comfort. The rear legroom is actually greater than a modern Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V. If you are a tall person, or if you have adult passengers, the Avalon is a superior machine. It uses acoustic glass and heavy insulation to make the cabin silent. When you drive an Avalon at 80 miles per hour, it feels like you are sitting in a library. When you drive a modern crossover at 80 miles per hour, the wind noise and the drone of the CVT will give you a headache.
In 2026, the Avalon is the invisible asset. Everyone is overpaying for the RAV4 name. You can buy the Avalon, which is a much higher tier vehicle, for half the price. I know what the Toyota fanboys are going to say. A Chrysler? You're recommending a Chrysler? Yes, but only a very specific one, the 2011 to 2020 Chrysler 300C with the 5.7-liter Hemi V8. In 2026, this car is a gift from a different era. It is built on a chassis that was co-developed with Mercedes-Benz during the Daimler-Chrysler years. It has a 5-link rear suspension and a double wishbone front end. It handles like a German sports sedan. But the reason it kills the SUV is towing. Most modern compact SUVs are rated to tow 1,500 pounds. That's barely enough for a jet ski. The Chrysler 300C with the V8 is rated to tow 2,000 pounds. And because it has a long wheelbase and a heavy V8 over the front wheels, it is actually more stable while towing than a short wheelbase crossover. Mechanically, the 300C is simple. The 5.7 Hemi is a pushrod engine that any shop in the country can fix for cheap. In 2026, as the Hemi is being banned, these cars are being dumped by owners who are afraid of gas prices. But if you do the math, the money you save on the purchase price pays for your gas for the next 10 years. It is a big rear-wheel drive tank that offers a level of prestige and power that no 4-cylinder SUV can ever match. If you want high-tech luxury and super handling without the $60,000 Acura SUV price tag, look for the 2014 to 2020 Acura RLX. Nobody bought this car when it was new. It looked too much like a Honda Accord. It was boring. But boring is exactly what you want when you are buying used. The RLX features pause, precision all-wheel steer. The rear wheels actually turn to help you corner and park. It has a 310 horsepower J35 V6 that is legendary for its smooth power delivery. In 2026, you can buy a clean RLX for $15,000. A comparable Acura MDX SUV from the same year will cost you $28,000. They use the same engine, they use the same electronics. You are paying $13,000 extra just for the SUV body style. The RLX is the ultimate stealth wealth car. It is safer, faster, and more comfortable than any crossover in its price range. The number one argument people give for buying an SUV is, I need a liftgate for big items. Meet the 2018 to 2020 Buick Sportback. This car looks like a sleek, sexy sedan, but when you press the button, the entire rear glass lifts up. It is a massive hatchback disguised as a luxury car. It was designed in Germany by Opel. It has an European driving feel that makes a Toyota Highlander feel like a boat. With the rear seats folded down, the Regal Sportback has 60 cubic feet of cargo space. That is more than a Mazda CX-5. That is more than a Jeep Compass. In 2026, the market has forgotten about Buick sedans. You can find these with 40,000 miles for $14,000. It has the utility of an SUV, the gas mileage of a car, and the soul of a German sports sedan. It is the ultimate scam buster. Let's look at the numbers one last time. If you buy a new $50,000 SUV at 7% interest over 60 months, you will pay nearly $10,000 in interest alone. Then you have to factor in the SUV surcharge on everything else. SUV tires cost 40% more than car tires. SUV insurance is 20% higher because they are more likely to roll over in an accident. SUV registration fees are higher because they weigh more. When you buy a $4,000 SUV killer sedan, you are opting out of that entire parasitic system. You have zero interest, you have low insurance, you have cheap tires. That extra $1,000 a month stays in your pocket. In 5 years, that is $60,000. The automotive industry wants you to believe that you are moving up in life by buying an SUV. I am telling you that you are moving up in life when your car is paid for and your bank account is growing. We are living through a time where status is being sold as utility. Don't let the marketing departments win. Don't be the person who buys a plastic toy for $60,000. Be the smart money buyer. Buy the iron. Buy the frame. Buy the unkillable V6. Drive the sedan that makes every SUV on the road look like a scam. If you want the full list of the 25-plus SUV killers, including the specific towing ratings and the part number swap list to save on maintenance, download the 2026 cheat sheet. Stop being a consumer. Start being an owner.